I thoroughly believe the scenery that you get inside of the Kill Team box sets is some of the best scenery that Games Workshop has done, and I love that it tells such a consistent story across all the different box sets. It lets you take a season and literally go game to game, story to story, box set to box set, and just tell this immense awesome story. Well, I in fact missed doing the scenery for the Typhon box set when that came around. There was just so much else going on, and I finally managed to carve out some time to get those awesome Tyranid stacks done and on the battlefield. And I thought I would set up the last two Kill Team sets that I have done. As you can see, those two building sets are completely painted and ready for the tabletop, and I wanted to see if I could incorporate those Tyranid parts into this. So in my head, the story is, you know, epic defenders, imperial in nature, whether it be Arbites, whether it be guardsmen, whether it be space marines, held the outpost until the last against a Tyranid swarm.
Fall back into the compound! Fall back!
But in the end, the Tyranid swarm did overrun the defenders, take the compound, obviously kill all the inhabitants inside of it. And obviously months later, the Tyranid are still gobbling up the last of the resources on that planet. But something was left behind that the Imperials cannot leave in the hands of the Tyranids, or leave to just be devoured and thing, whatever that may be. So a requisition force will have come in trying to reclaim the compound, but the compound has obviously had some interesting biomass develop on it, and that's what we're going to use the smokestacks for in today's game. So what I'm going to do is get those pieces built and painted and on this tabletop, blend it into this thing and tell a really cool story. So hopefully you guys are excited to see that. Without further ado, let's dive in and see how it looks.
Okay, so this is the incredible Tyranid scenery. The only gripe I would have with this scenery is I wish it was bigger. You know what I mean? Like, this is only, what, 6 inches long? And if you look at any of the original, like, Forge World versions of these, they stood, like, as tall as a knight kind of thing. They were big, imposing pieces on the battlefield. So I wish they were just a little bit bigger, but obviously if they were bigger, you would have less of them in the box, and it would be a little bit less imposing on the table kind of thing. So I am happy with the, you know, reduction in size, but the increase in number of pieces. But like I said, I would like to get a second set of these. I think would really kind of flesh out a table. But one set is enough for now. As you can see, I got them all sprayed up, black, and then a nice coat of a grey sear over the top. I left them on this board for the next two coats because I am going to grab an airbrush and very quickly get some base coats on the kind of fleshy skin parts of the pieces. So Guilliman flesh from the contrast was used first. And like I said, you don't have to be precious, you don't have to be careful, you can just get it on. Normally I would just do this with a brush, but obviously there's a bit of a time crunch because instead of, like in other videos where I do Kill Team Scenery, I just do one piece and show you how to do it. But I wanted the whole set painted up today, so obviously I had to just push it ahead a little bit further. So you could very easily do that with a brush and then Carryberg Crimson and repeat the process over exactly the same bit. You get this really kind of like unnatural pinky skin tone, and it just suits really well for the Tyranid fleshy parts. Okay, once those are fully dry, it's a very simple dry brush of Ushabti bone across all of that skin texture again. Just adding a little bit of variation, a little bit of brightness to it. You can aim for the higher points if you so wish, if you want to add like shadow or depth to it. I just tend to go for an all over dry brush. Remembering that these are the steps that I take to paint up my standard Tyranid models. And that's the really cool thing about the scenery piece for these. They are just more organisms in the Tyranid army. So if you have followed any one of my other guides on how to paint Tyranids and you have this scenery, just follow those original guides, put them onto this model, and it will look fantastic. Okay, one of the like, it takes a little bit of time, but I actually quite enjoy it, is the Stegadon Scale Green base coat stage, which is what you do on all the armored carapace parts of the Tyranid models, obviously the scenery. The reason that I really enjoy this is I do tend to airbrush those first two cuts on even for my own stuff, and the whole model looks kind of messy and a little bit kind of ruined by that point. And when you put the Stegadon Scale Green stage on, it really does neaten up the whole kind of piece and give you a real sense of what this model is going to look like at the very end. Whilst I have you here, I must ask you to do me a quick favor. Give this video a like if you are enjoying it. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We just recently hit our 70,000 subscriber goal, and we want to push forward and get to 80,000 by the end of the year. Is that possible? I don't know, but it's certainly not possible without your guys' help. So please do hit that button. And if you have any questions around it, please do let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my very best to answer each and every one of them. If you want to help support the channel even further, you can jump over and check out the Patreon, which is of course linked down below. There's a whole host of benefits for being a member of the Patreon, and a bunch of more benefits are being added as we speak, including monthly giveaways for you guys. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of those brand new, beautiful Imperial Knight miniatures in box, unbuilt, untouched, sent to your front door anywhere in the world, to be in a chance with that, please do check out the Patreon. Like I said, linked down below. As you can see, I'm being quite careful because the skin for the most part is finished, and I do not want to hit it with any of that Stegadon scale green, because obviously it will be quite difficult to fix it, to be honest with you. So I do take my time and I'm quite careful. Altioch Blue was then used as the first layer stage, or kind of the only layer stage, to be honest with you, of that Stegadon scale green. And basically you want to go in the direction of the carapace. So for instance, there's all these extra like kind of clampy bits coming up the side. So you want to kind of highlight those and leave the recesses where the different armored plates meet nice and dark. But then all the other parts you want to kind of bring up and be nice and flat. It's quite hard to show you on this small bit. So on this large section here, you can see that I'm feathering the paint up towards the edge of where the kind of chitney plate starts, ends, and the next one starts. And then when I jump to the next plate down, I will leave kind of like a centimeter or two in between that color and the next one, so that you do leave that nice dark color between all the plates. It really does help set it all off and make it look really cool, really alien-like. I'm going to show you that stage again to make it as clear as possible. So as you can see, I'm feathering in a downward direction. I'm leaving the bit closest to the ground, and then as I jump to the next panel, you can see that I leave that little gap of the darker blue between each section, and this will really give that really nice kind of Tyranid effect to the model. Looks really nice. It's super fast to do. This isn't sped up footage or anything, this is real time, so as you can see, it does not take long to get that stage done across all these models. Time to start working on the bases now. So Mechanicus Standard Grey was brought in. It was watered down quite a bit, so it would flow quite well, but obviously not be so thin that it wasn't going to give any good coverage. Mechanicus Standard Grey is a very good color for coverage, so you don't have to worry about that too much. And then I very carefully went around all of the bases of these models, blocking them in with that nice grey color. Okay, and with that done, we are going to brighten that up just a little bit. So we're going to jump up to Administratum Grey and give all the bases a nice dry brush of that, just to make those details pop a little bit, catch those sharp edges on the stones and on the rocks and stuff. I would perhaps, because obviously there's a difference between the ground surface and the rocks, and if I wasn't going to be adding a lot of texture paste over the top of these bases, let's say I wanted to do them for like jungle bases or something like that, I probably would have spent a lot more time keeping the rocks grey and doing all the kind of earth and soil in between and like nice browns and then a couple of grass tufts, and that would look really cool. But because, like I said, all my Tyranids are based in like a snowy kind of tundra style bases, obviously I wanted to do that, so I don't have to do too crazy much detail on the bases. Just a few dry brushes of grey and you're laughing. Now, my absolute favorite stage of painting my Tyranids is this. You water down Doom Bull Brown quite a lot until it's quite watery. And then you paint it into all of the cracks and recesses across all of the armored parts of these Tyranid models. So that means between all the plates. And then obviously these models are quite detailed. You can see lots of cracks and stuff. There's not like smooth plates. There's lots of lines and recesses. And you just want to paint that Doom Bull Brown into absolutely all of those. As much or as little as you want. And it does make a huge difference of turning it into, like I said, that alien look, that it's alive.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
It's such a simple step, but it makes an absolutely colossal difference in painting. When I first started painting my Tyranid army, I basically showed it to a very good friend of mine. If you don't know who he is, he's the Golden Shin. On Instagram, please do check him out. He's an incredible painter and a very close friend of mine. And obviously I go to him for a lot of advice when I'm stuck on painting projects. And I brought him the Tyranid and he was like, okay, I see what you did here. The skin looks great. The blue carapace looks great, but it's missing something. And he literally just grabbed a pot of Doom Bull Brown, watered it down and started painting it into the recesses. And it transformed the whole design. And ever since then, I have done it on every single Tyranid model I've done. So full credit to him for that Doom Bull Brown step. That's all him. And I'm so grateful that he did it. Volupus Pink was then used to paint all of the kind of stretched skin, any kind of splits in the skin, any splits in the armor, anywhere where you want to have more of a kind of a fragile looking skin tone or like tendon looking skin tone. You want to use this. Obviously all the like smokestacks that are skin, you want to paint that Volupus Pink in there. Once again, just adding an extra splash of color, making it look really nice. It's a very quick step once again, but it just adds, like I said, that extra bright pinky tone to the model and it looks great. AK Snow was then brought out and was liberally applied to the base. I grabbed the crappiest brush that still has kind of bendable bristles and I just stab at the base, adding that snow texture. For some of the pieces, I added some snow texture to kind of the top parts and stuff, as well, as if this organism is sunk into the snow and it's still snowing around it. I was a little bit more reserved with the amount of snow I put on top of the models. I think I will go back and add some more. I just didn't want to go crazy for this video in case you guys weren't into it that much. But like I said, I do like the final result that it has given me, and I'm really, really happy with how this selection of Tyranid models or scenery is finished off. So this is the finished piece, the stack. Like I said, it's only a couple of paints. It's a very small amount of time and effort that went into getting this whole set painted up. And I'm really happy to have it finally ticked off. Another kill zone painted up and ready to be used in a table. I'm going to add all these pieces to my other kill zones that I showed you at the start of this video and show you how it all works together now.
Okay, so now you can see the full compound with the addition of the Kill Team Typhon Tyranid stuff. And obviously I've thrown some Tyranid models in there as well to show you, well, pretty much why I painted my Tyranid scenery like this, because of course they have to match my Tyranid army. So imagine a squads of guardsmen or maybe a force of inquisition with some arbites or something in tow having to breach this particular outpost, again swarming with Tyranids and having to claim, I don't know, a piece of equipment left behind, I don't know, a memory core from a computer or something kind of important, knowing that they have to fight their way inside of this just kill box of terror and having to deal with it. And I don't think the story tells itself so well without the addition of those awesome scenery pieces. So I'm very happy to have them finally painted up and on the tabletop. I now just need to drag one of my friends over here to play through this kind of gnarly scenario. There is a bunch of scenarios, of course, in the Kill Team Typhon box set in order to make that work. But I, for one, definitely think it sets a tone. Big thumbs up for the Tyranid terrain for me. It's a set that I could quite like to get a second set of. I've got some here, but I think doubling the set would be really cool if you want to do it across an entire table and really give it that kind of Tyranid touched aesthetic to the whole table. I think that would be really cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You learned a little bit something about some kind of aesthetical play or the Tyranid terrain, and you are going to get yourself a set and get it painted up just like this. Thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.